um, first SARCast or second SARCast of the quarter. Today I will be going over career exploration and how to find a part-time on-campus job. I know it's already spring quarter, and around this time is when a lot of on-campus jobs are hiring students for like the next academic year. So I'm going to be going over a couple of resources on where to find like these part-time jobs on campus, and maybe how to like prepare yourself for like the application process. And if you do get an interview, how that's going to go. So let's get started. So first, I recommend you guys to kind of figure out like what your interests are and what you would enjoy doing as like a job here on campus. There are a ton of jobs here. So if you're interested in more of like um, clerical work or like working behind like a front desk, maybe consider business jobs like that. Or if you're more interested in like working with other students, kind of being more involved, boosting outside, maybe considering being like a peer educator or like a mentor. So first I would say kind of have an idea of like what you're interested in, so you could see so when you read like the job descriptions, it kind of like, you know, catches your eye. So first I wanted to, so first some questions to ask yourself. The first one is, what type of environment and population would I like to work in? And with this, you know, it could be different. Do you like working alone? Do you like working more like independently behind like a front desk? Or do you like interacting with students? I know for me, last year I was like on a job hunt trying to find part-time jobs on campus because I felt like it was just way more convenient for me working on campus than you know, working off campus, having to commute to school and then go to my job. And what I really like about like the jobs that I have right now is they're very flexible because they put like you being a student first and then your job, which I really like. So they're very flexible with your schedule. With the jobs that I'm in right now, they're very flexible, which I love. And it's just more convenient because I do commute. So it's convenient just to go to my classes and then go to work right after. So definitely kind of have an idea of like what type of environment and population you like working in. Another question to ask yourself is, do you have space in your schedule to add on a part-time job? This is really important. And I also know that if you're a student, you work part-time on campus, the maximum hours you could work are 20 hours. So I'll also consider that as well. Maybe if you are looking for more hours in a job, I know maybe having two jobs, maybe working on campus and off campus, because as a student, you're only able to work 20 hours a week. And the other thing to ask yourself is, do you want to tie it around your interest or career goal, or are you more interested in trying out something new? And with this, I'm more saying like, do you want to find a position that's kind of related to what you're interested in doing, you know, post grad, or would you like to try out something new that you've never done before? So I think these are really good things to consider when applying to part-time on-campus jobs. So now you're probably asking, where can I find these job postings? I don't really like get emails about it. So where can I see these job postings at? And the main ones I recommend checking out are definitely Handshake and the our SARC internship database. So Handshake is basically a platform where UCI posts most of their on-campus hiring positions for students. And Handshake is all the UC systems have Handshake. So a bunch of students like utilize this platform to find these on-campus jobs. And what I like about it too, I kind of find it similar to LinkedIn because you're able to upload your resume and kind of like build your profile account. And if like any other employers on Handshake kind of see your resume and like kind of like what you do, then they reach out to you. And then the SARC internship database. So on our internship database, some internships are paid for and they're technically considered an on-campus job. So let me go ahead and show you these platforms real quick. So Handshake, so you're gonna just type in Handshake UCI and it should take you to this website on how it looks. And you're gonna click log in. So you're going to log in with your UCI credentials, and it's totally free. It's free for all students. So once you log in, this is how it should look like. Your account right here, inbox, career center, because it is linked to Division of Career Pathways. And you would go right here to the top left, you would click jobs. And then what I usually like doing is I like filtering it. So I would filter it to part-time, because I'm interested in part-time and I'm interested in doing it on campus. So you would filter it, and then right here to the left, there's 87 jobs that are offering part-time on-campus jobs here at UCI. And as you can see, the first couple ones are from student success initiatives. So if you're interested in, how I said, being a peer tutor, working with students, kind of consulting with them. Are you interested in being a peer educator? So the first couple ones are hiring at student success initiatives. And then we have a student assistant at the International Center. So say you are interested, for example, being a transfer peer educator at Student Success Initiatives. You can see right here that the application deadline, so it was due at 11:59 p.m. You can see how much it's going to be. You're going to get paid per hour. And when you scroll down, it has like the role description. So basically what you're going to be doing in this role. And then this is also going to be like during summer and what you're going to be doing during the academic year. So just right here in the bottom kind of gives you a bunch of like the responsibilities, tasks, and duties you're going to be doing, the time commitment of this. So if you did apply for this, you're going to be working like summer session, and then what you're going to be doing during the academic year. And so say you are interested in this position, you would just click apply. And every job on here asks for different things. So this one's asking for a resume and cover letter. So definitely have those ready when you are interested in applying to jobs. But I also wanted to show you guys another one. So this is an event assistant. So maybe you're interested and you enjoy hosting events, planning events. This application is due April today at 5 p.m. So you still have time. You're going to be getting paid $15.25 an hour. And as you can see, this one's different. This one says quick apply. So what quick apply is, it's just basically a resume. So instead of resume and cover letter, it's asking for just your resume. You would just upload that and submit it. And I know at first when I was applying on Handshake, I was like, okay, how do I know if like how they're going to reach out to me? And so your UCI email is linked to your Handshake account. So employers usually email you. And so say you haven't heard a response back, I usually recommend, so say you applied basically today, April 19th, kind of give it a week like after the deadline to, maybe email them back if you haven't heard back anything, kind of say, oh, hi, like I applied to this position and I just wanted to get like an update about like the status. I know that was kind of confusing at first when I was applying to jobs through Handshake, because I didn't know like when I was going to hear back or how. So that's really something to take into consideration. So this is Handshake. And then I'm going to show you guys our SSARC internship database. So I just typed in SSARC UCI, and it's usually the first link on your desktop. And you would go under internships and hit internship database. And then it should look like this. And what you would click on next is on-campus internship opportunities. So once you click that, it gives you like a PDF of all these positions that are hiring. And as you can see, some are paid and some aren't. So say you are interested in the paid position, you would click on the ones that have like the $ next to them. And what I like about this is it breaks it down into what you may be interested in. So say you're interested in administrative development, you're interested in maybe campus development, working on campus and interacting with a bunch of centers and organizations. So it kind of breaks it down for you. But say you're interested in being a student assistant at the International Center. So you would click on the link and you would scroll down into where it says student assistant, and they're actually still hiring. So their applications due Friday, April 22nd. You click on the application if you are interested, and it kind of also gives you a description of what the job entails. So our SARC internship database is a really good resource to look for on-campus jobs if you want to get paid. And then Handshake is another great one as well. Okay, so those are the two resources that I recommend checking out. So now some materials to have ready. Some materials to have ready for the application process. So definitely have these three things prepared. So as we're kind of looking more on Handshake and what you're required to submit for the application, definitely have your resume ready, a cover letter just in case, and references around 2 to 3. I say references because usually after you apply and they end up reaching back to you, they ask for like 1 or 2 references, and then or after you after you have an interview and you so after you have the interview, they usually do email you with asking for a couple references. So just have these prepared when you are applying for these positions. So this is an example resume that I have for you guys. So basically just your name on top, your UCI email, phone number, and the city you live in. I also have my LinkedIn. I have like a LinkedIn URL that's also attached to my header of my resume. And so like they usually click on it if I like email it to them, they could click on it and it takes them right to my LinkedIn profile. So that's also like a good thing to maybe have for yourself. Having an objective, if you have room for it, because I know sometimes resumes, you don't have a lot of room. So objectives are optional. So what an objective is kind of reiterating why you're interested in this position. And then definitely having your education there. So having yourself as a student, when you're expected to graduate, what you're majoring in, maybe if you have a minor. And another thing that's also really good to add on your resume is if you've had any dean's honors. So for example, if you got, I think it's like above a certain GPA, you get like you're on the dean's honor list. So maybe even like putting that on your resume if you've gotten it before. Having your professional experience. This could be jobs as well, like any employment that you've had recently. Co-curricular experience, and maybe things that you're involved in that you've done at UCI or outside of UCI, if you've done research, and just like skills that you have. So this is like an example resume. And then I also have an example cover letter for you guys. So I want to note as well that you could tell that our header is the same from our cover letter and our resume. And I feel like that's really good to have just so it could kind of, match with each other. So definitely having your name, your email, your phone number on top again, and then having the date. Usually for the date, I like putting when the application is due for the date, and then name of the hiring manager, and then who you're making this out to. So dear whoever it may be, and then keeping this into consideration. So cover letters are usually 3 paragraphs. And what a cover letter is kind of telling the employer other things that aren't on your resume, and kind of reiterating like your experiences, why you're interested in this position, maybe tying one of your current experiences to the position, and like kind of telling them why you would be best fit for it. And then another thing I would recommend too is if you have a signature for yourself, like for your name, also putting that below sincerely, and then typing out your name on the bottom. And then so references. So references could be honestly anyone other than a family member. This could be a professor, a faculty staff at UCI, one of your high school teachers that you've had, a current or previous supervisor. And if you honestly feel like you still don't have anyone in mind for your reference, it's not too late. Honestly, attend professors' office hours and get to know them, maybe ask them about their research, or honestly ask them about anything on like why you're maybe interested in the class. And network and branch out and try to make connections. It's not too late if you feel like you don't have a reference yet. That's totally okay. I always recommend going to professor office hours, even TAs, that could work as well. And just trying to like make connections with like other staff at UCI or outside of UCI and try to get like those references so you could also add that to if like your employer does ask for that. Okay, so now interview time. So if you do get an interview, these are some tips that I have for you guys. So during the interview, it's really good to use the STAR method when answering questions. And the STAR method stands for situation, task, action, and result. So in a situation, so the situation is to understand the context of your role in a previous job or experience and identify any challenges you want to highlight to a hiring manager or committee. And then the task is describing the situation or goal that you came up with and to overcome the identified challenge and show how you tackled those difficulties in that situation. And then action is recounting details for the steps you took to handle that situation and noting the skills necessary to successfully reach your solution. And then the result stands for quantifiably explain the results that stem from your contributions and tying those results back to the value that you provided to the team or company. So the STAR method is really good to use, but I know sometimes it could be hard trying to like remember, you know, situation, task, action, result. But I feel like once you practice it and once you like kind of before the interview start practicing, you'll get used to using the STAR method when answering interview questions. So that's the tip that I have for you guys for using like the STAR method and answering questions. And now interview time. And I have some tips if it's like in person or if it's virtual. So honestly, dress the part. It's always good to dress business formal, business casual, wear like a nice cardigan or like a nice shirt. Even if it's on Zoom, trust me, if you like dress the part, you'll feel like you're in the interview. So this goes for both Zoom and in person. And it's always good to arrive 10 to 15 minutes early. And this could both count for virtual or in person. Because sometimes if it's on Zoom, they'll put you in the waiting room. Because this has happened to me before. I showed up to my Zoom interview like 10 minutes early and they put me in a breakout room with someone and I was just like had the time to kind of talk to them, kind of de-stress a little, and it kind of helped with like breaking the ice before my interview, which really helped. And another thing is having a bottle of water by you just in case your mouth does get dry. This happens a lot. Sometimes you're talking in an interview and your mouth gets dry. You feel like you need to take a sip of water. That's totally okay. I always recommend bringing a bottle of water if it's in person or if it's virtual. Just having like a bottled water next to you is always good. Body movement's a really big thing. So during your interview, kind of do head nods to kind of show that you are actively listening. So usually some interviewers like to talk about like to talk about the position first. So it's always good to like nod your head to kind of show that you are like engaging in what they're saying. So head nods are always good. And if your interview is in person, it's always good to bring a resume. Just bring like a copy of your resume. This is actually, I've done this before because mostly all of my interviews have been on Zoom, but I've had one in person. And I just brought like a copy of my resume. I gave it to them and they're like, oh, thank you for bringing this. It's like way better than like looking on the screen. It's better to have like a paper of your resume. So it's always good to bring a copy of your resume if your interview is in person and virtual. So find a quiet place with no distractions. If you live like in a house with like a bunch of people, it's always good to tell them like, oh, I have an interview in a couple minutes. Can you guys like please like for an hour keep it down? You know, I've had like that instance too where there's like a bunch of people living in my house and honestly just like communicating with them, telling them that you're going to have an interview to keep it quiet for a little bit. And then it's always good after your interview to send a follow-up email, kind of thanking them for their time and kind of reiterating why you're best fit for that position. And I usually recommend sending up a follow-up email a couple hours after the interview or even the day after the interview is good. And the last one is to always ask questions at the end. And honestly, asking a question could be about anything. It could be about like maybe the work environment or how it could even be like a personal question to them, like what made them be interested in this position. So it's always good to ask a question at the end of your interview, and it could honestly be anything. Yeah, so now some references that I do want to highlight is definitely the Division of Career Pathways. And at DCP, you're able to schedule an appointment with an advisor to do mock interviews. So say you have like an interview next week and you feel like you need to prepare and have kind of get like that pre-interview before you go into your real interview, you're able to do mock interviews at Division of Career Pathways. At DCP, they also have a lot of events that they host. And on the next slide too, there's a couple events coming up in regards to like career exploration. So I'll share that with you guys after this slide as well. And career toolkit. So career toolkit is also another great resource that I recommend using. Um, so this is how it looks. It's from the Division of Career Pathways. And this is honestly what I used when I was when I was a first year, kind of barely figuring out my resume and kind of understanding like what should I put in there, because I remember I was putting like my height that I was still in high school, and honestly, no, just put the year that you're in college at UCI already. Definitely take out that you're a high school student. But I want to show you guys some things on here that I would always look at when I was doing my resume. So as you could tell, there's a lot of great like resources that you could read over. And what this is it's a resume guide, a cover letter guide. So it kind of shows you some tips that you should have on your resume. So usually having it 10 to 12 point font. Don't use unusual fonts, no colors, no logos. And then this is kind of like an example of how your header should look. So this is honestly similar to the one I showed you guys. This one also has like their LinkedIn profile. So that's also really good to add. Education, how I said, do not list high school, plus that you're like a student at UCI. Okay, this is a big one that I want to show you guys. So action verbs. So on your resume, usually you do bullet points when you're kind of describing your positions. And it's always good to use an action verb to describe what you did in that position. And what this page shows you is a bunch of action verbs. So say you want to talk about maybe something that you did in regards to teaching. These are example action verbs that you could use. You could use maybe clarified or coached or set goals. So this is a really good page to use if you want to use action verbs in your resume to describe the position that you're doing. And then if you scroll down, this is also another example resume, aside from the one I already showed you guys a couple slides ago. And this is also the same thing. So also what I said, begin phrases with action verbs. That's also really good. List your experience, maybe additional activities. And then there's also more example resumes that you guys could take a look at. And then they also have example cover letters on here as well. And this is honestly what I used when I was forming my first cover letter. And it honestly helped out a lot. So introduction and interest, kind of matching yourself to like the job description, and then restating why you're interested and then closing it out. And then again, there's also sample cover letters here for you guys to check out. And I'll go ahead and send that in our follow-up email about this great resource. So this is a career toolkit. And then how we went over, Handshake is also a good reference to use, and our SSARC website. And some upcoming Division of Career Pathways events that are coming up. The first one is prepare for the virtual career fair. So as many of you guys know, we do have a career fair here at UCI, and it's taking place in a couple weeks. And what this event's going to be is kind of preparing yourself for the actual event. So you're able to conversate with recruiters, and this is happening this Thursday, April 21st. And then we have an in-person, there's an in-person interview technique. So kind of going more in depth about interviews. This is also happening this Thursday, April 21st. And there's a virtual advanced resume writing. So this is more of like a workshop where you guys go over your resume and kind of making updates to it in preparation for the virtual career fair. And this is happening next Thursday, April 27th. And I'll go ahead and send these links in the follow-up email as well if you guys are interested. But definitely check out Division of Career Pathways. There's a bunch of events that usually happens almost every day. So definitely check that out. Yeah, so that was like my presentation on just how to find a part-time job on campus, because there's a bunch of centers here that are hiring for students for the next academic year and even during summer. So I did want to open it up if you guys have any questions about maybe what I went over, or if you guys would like me to go back to any of the resources that I did present to you guys. Just go ahead and type it in the Q&A function or in the chat box, and I could go ahead and read them. But yeah, I'll give you guys a couple minutes if you guys are typing, if you guys have any questions. But yeah, I know there's a lot of how I said centers hiring right now for students. And honestly, say you don't have as much room in your schedule, there are a bunch of most of the jobs here are honestly between 8 to 10 hours. So it's not too much time commitment within the job. So say you're maybe interested in like being like a peer mentor at like a specific center, it's totally okay. The hours are usually 8 to 10. But say you want more hours, you would usually have to pick up a second job um, on campus to kind of meet those 20 hours if you guys do want more hours. But it honestly all depends on you guys, what you guys are interested in and how many hours you guys would want to work. Okay, so what on-campus jobs have you held? Oh, thank you for the question. So yeah, so actually last year I was like in need of trying to find an on-campus job at UCI. Just because my first year I really wanted to work on campus, but I was kind of too late in the hiring process. So I actually ended up working off campus. And it was honestly too stressful for me. I really wanted a job on campus. So last year I applied to a bunch of on-campus jobs through Handshake. So right now I'm actually working as a peer educator at the Student Outreach and Retention Center. We were hiring, but the applications did close already. And then I also work at Student Success Initiatives as a peer educator, and we're actually hiring there right now. The jobs that I showed you guys on Handshake at Student Success Initiatives, those are that's where I actually work at right now. And we're actually hiring, I think the application's closed today. But definitely check that out. I love what I'm doing with the two positions that I hold there. That's actually what got me interested in becoming a school counselor. So these jobs have definitely kind of helped me find what I want to do post-grad. Another question is it a good idea to put people in your board member name, example, president or VP in the reference part if you don't have anyone to put? Yes, definitely. That's also, I think putting that could also be considered a reference. Even though it usually is a student, it's still someone that you were working with, like if you were like in a club, or if you were working in an organization, and if you are like close to them, or the point where you do feel comfortable listing them as a reference, then yeah, I do think that would be good to list as a reference. So yeah. And then there's another question. If this is my first job and I don't have any experience, what should I write in that section? Yes, that's a really good question, because that was also me too when I was first applying. I honestly had no job experience. So I would, if you don't have any like say job like employment experience, you could maybe even also list like even putting like if you've done like community service, if you've done outreach, maybe if you're involved on campus, have you like participated in like any programs? Have you done any internships, any research on campus? So it's totally okay if you haven't held any jobs previously, but also kind of putting the other experiences that you have had other than like employment. But yeah, that's a really good question. Yeah. Do you guys have any more questions? Okay, I'm going to move on to the next slide to kind of just show our handles that we have. Okay, so we have an Instagram at SARC. It's called UC Irvine SARC. We have our email if you guys have any questions. And I will also be posting a recording of this SARCcast on our YouTube channel. So expect to see it within like 1 or 2 days. You guys could definitely go back and check it out again. And I will also be sending, how I said, the links to like the career toolkit, the division of career pathways events that are coming up. If you guys are interested in that and the follow-up email. But yes, thank you everyone for coming. And I hope you guys found this information useful. Bye, everyone.